Many thanks for joining us on Business Now. I am Omobolanle Adeshui. Nigeria's inflation rate hit a fresh 17-year high in September, stoked by a slide in the value of the naira that raised the cost of imported goods like gas and liquid fuel. Annual inflation accelerated to 20.8%, compared with 20.5% in August, according to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, the highest level since September 2005. On a month-on-month basis, the index rose by 1.36% compared to 1.77% increase recorded in the previous month. The food index, which accounts for more than half the inflation basket, rose 23.3% from a year earlier, compared with 23.1% in August. Core inflation, which excludes agricultural produce, quickened to 17.6% in September, compared with 17.2% in the previous month. Prices rose 1.3% from a month earlier. Last month, the Policy Setting Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, raised the Monetary Policy Committee, or rather, Monetary Policy Rate, MPR, which measures interest rate from 14% to 15.5%, the third consecutive increase in 2022. Governor Godwin Emefiele warned at the bank's September meeting that policymakers would further hike rates as long as inflation remains stubbornly high. And Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has said tackling Nigeria's foreign exchange challenges will require a synergy between the nation's fiscal and monetary authorities. Osinbajo made this statement at the third ministerial performance review of the Buhari-led government retreat held at the State House, Abuja. He said the failure of the synergy has led to unnecessary drawbacks in the economic performance and planning. He also warned that imports eligible for foreign exchange must tally with the country's fiscal ambitions in terms of manufacturing. The VP detailed the achievement of the federal government in the past 7 years. He agreed that there were some areas of concern in the economy, saying that the exchange rate management continues to be an issue. He therefore proposed a more market-driven approach, saying some price discovery within the context of a managed float is certainly required. And the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has been challenged to focus on its role as a monetary authority and reduce its intervention in other sectors. This call was made by business analyst Mukhtar Mohammed while speaking on iBrandTV's Business Breakfast show on Tuesday. He charged the Apex Bank to focus on easing monetary challenges and leave the government to look at the fiscal aspect of the economy. This, he said, will help the CBN focus on tackling foreign exchange illiquidity and combat inflation that is biting hard in the country.
Has been intervening in places that are not their core competence. Especially, remember, they were the ones that were involved through the government fiscal policy in trader money. They've been involved in rice production, direct intervention instead of going through the conventional banks. And also, even with that, also it became a problem for them to recover some of this debt from the debtors, because some of them actually pretended that they were farmers and collected this debt and they've not been able to pay, because it's not in the beauty of CBN to be intervening in those sectors directly. So definitely that's one of the key that is foreign inflation. And when CBN knew that they were foreign inflation by this direct intervention, either through budget financing or directly intervening in some of these in some of this sector of the Nigerian economy, which they felt it has a longer value in terms of creating stability in the economy. They, in turn, with them, that they were still pumping in more liquidity into the system. Until recently, they are beginning to look at, oh, with high rate and we need to reduce liquidity. When you know the funding of the budget was in excess, you're already funding the budget up to 17 trillion, and then you were intervening in those critical sectors directly, and was not directly with funds. So you definitely are fighting inflation with that kind of policies that the CBN was running. Well, when you look at the food, we just have interruption, especially in the area of the supply chain. That has been the greatest problem, especially when you look at coming from the rural area. You look at the food index has been, inflation in the food price has been high. And this is normally a place whereby it normally doesn't happen. So it was just due to supply chain. I will expect that to continue. Not to forget that we've seen that they are running into so much flood during the rainy season. Also is going to affect, might see those positivity becoming negative going forward. So that sector, it was boosted with a little bit stability in the security challenges. We will have a little bit stability in terms of security.
And the president and chief executive of Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, has described the contribution of the Nigeria industrial sector to global output as insignificant. iBrandTV Korea reports that Alhaji Dangote made this known at a stakeholders lecture and presidential luncheon organized by the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria in Lagos State. Alhaji Dangote, while lamenting the dwindling nature of the industrial sector in the country, said for Nigeria's manufacturing sector to measure up with those of China and Malaysia, the nation must be secured, ensure proper government policies that promote industrialization, investment in research and development, building human capacity development, and adequate infrastructure.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the experience in various parts of the world has shown that industrialization drives economic growth and development, which improves living standards as evident by the high output and per capita income in industrialized countries. Countries smaller than Nigeria, such as Singapore and South Korea, have an average per capita GDP of about 65,000 and 31,000 respectively, due to the level of industrialization which they have achieved. For instance, Nigeria's share of world output is unimpressive, considering its size and resource endowment. Its share of world output is significantly below that of India, South Korea, and China. Nigeria has for many years remained in the developing nation cadre as income, economic development, and standard of living largely remains below average. In addition, Nigeria remains one of the least industrialized countries with a low human.
And the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has called on the federal government to put in place policies that will grow the manufacturing sector of the country. President of the association, Engineer Mansour Ahmed, made the call at the opening of the three-day Made in Nigeria Products exhibition in Lagos State. The high point of the event was the presentation of the blueprint for the accelerated development of manufacturing in Nigeria 2.0 and the presentation of plaques to the guest lecturer and other guests. iBrandTV Korea was there and filed in this report.
A gentleman who clearly represents the best of the industry. A gentleman who has struggled, established industries across the region, but also beyond, across the country, but also beyond, and has in that context served as, in fact, a model for all manufacturers and industrialists. Alhaji Aliko Dangote, as will be introduced soon, clearly has given many of us in the industry courage because of his own commitment to remaining firmly established, to remaining firmly committed to continuing to invest, especially in our manufacturing industry, despite all the headwinds that he and all of us have faced. So it is therefore an honor and a pleasure for me to welcome Alhaji Aliko Dangote to present this lecture. In doing so, I would like to now request the MC to arrange for Alhaji Aliko's citation to be read before he presents the lecture. I thank you and welcome you.
All right, the Nigeria Liquefied and Natural Gas Company has declared a force majeure because of the widespread flooding that has disrupted supply, a spokesman for the company said on Monday. Force majeure is a common clause in contracts that essentially frees both parties from liability or obligation when an extraordinary event or circumstance beyond the control of the parties, such as a war, strike, riot, crime, epidemic, or sudden legal change prevent one or both parties from fulfilling their obligations under the contract. Reuters reported that the declaration could worsen Nigeria's cash crunch and would curtail global gas supply as Europe and others struggle to replace Russian exports due to the invasion of Ukraine in February. NLNG said all of its upstream gas suppliers had declared force majeure, forcing it to make the declaration as well. NLNG spokesman Andy Ode said the notice by the gas suppliers was as a result of high flood water levels in their operational areas, leading to a shutting of gas production, which has caused significant disruption of gas supply to the Nigeria Liquefied and Natural Gas Company. Flooding in Nigeria has killed more than 600 people, displaced 1.4 million, and destroyed roads and farmland.